I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1.3, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No.
Thank you. And item 1.4, approve the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Who's-
Thank you, Mr. Leeds.
No, it
Or
was me.
Mr. Fulham.
It's all right.
I just looked down there and saw
That's
that.
all right.
Mrs. Kale, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. Moving on to section 2, discussions and comments from the board. We'll start with legislative 2.1. Mr. Leeds.
I talked to Mr. Hall today, and they're still on recess until the 15th of November after the election, and they will take up some items and be on recess again the 21st of December, so probably won't get much done. And he said that they will discuss the pipeline, but it won't be in session with the session. It's going to be just with other representatives. So we'll see what happens there. But he kind of thinks that there's going to be some action taken, but he kind of agrees with me, that they will not make any decision.
So it's gaining, he thinks it'll gain a little bit of traction?
Yeah, because I think, we're not going to get it all. We'll get a portion of it maybe, but it's typical big business. Go for the guzzler and forget about part of it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to see probably.
Okay.
So that's all.
All right, thank you. 2.2, Mr. Guido, Butler Tech.
Thank you, Mr. President, Board of Education. I did want to, I just have a couple brief things. The first day of school for students was today at the new National Science Center. So,
That's good.
I was there this morning, and it was just awesome just to see the kids there. The ribbon cutting is at 10 o'clock on Thursday, so that's when the ceremony starts. Get there 9:30-ish or whatever and do that. So should be about an hour long, and you take a tour, do whatever you want to there. And then, so any questions, call me. Everybody has my number. The Legislative Committee met with Representative Hall and Representative Creech, who does like the Germantown area and a little bit of Trenton, is the rep there. So had a meeting with them today. And then Superintendent Graff met with the superintendent of schools, or she's the temporary one for right now, Setters. So, and just went over some of that. So that's really all I have. Any questions from anybody?
No, the building looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
It really does. Especially when you come down the hill from Kroger's heading towards Majors. When you look off to the right, I mean, it looks really good.
Well, I mean, I will formally say it at the event, but I do want to mention it tonight. I mean, that could not have happened without the strong partnership between this Board of Education and the Board of Education at Butler Tech. So it was really a little bit outside of the box, but we have always enjoyed a very close relationship since the start of that program, and we look forward to many, many years more there. So thank you for everybody here, and the previous boards as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, Thursday at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Fantastic. Item 2.3, finance.
We have not had a meeting, but we're scheduling one for next week.
Okay, fantastic. And then 2.4, student achievement.
It's been a busy October at Monroe Primary School.
We recently held our annual Otis Spunkmeyer fundraiser where one student, Maddie Bird, sold enough to earn every prize offered. We had, her family's got a lot of cookie dough, I'm sure. We had a spirit assembly with the high school cheerleaders, football players, and band. One student said it was the best day of his life. Last week was fire prevention, and our local firefighters visited the school. This week is Red Ribbon Week, where the theme is Celebrate Life and Live Drug-Free. The beginning of November, our first graders are going to Rensselaer Metro Park for a field trip, and will be having their musical performance under the lights of the big stage in the high school auditorium on November 3rd. We welcome everybody to come attend. At the junior high, congratulations to our 7th grade student of the month, Emmanuel Morales. His science teacher, Miss Linsnick, shares that Emmanuel is such a pleasure to have in class. He has a positive attitude and a smile on his face. An example of this is he always makes it a point to either thank me or say something kind each day he leaves 8th bell. Emmanuel never has to be reminded of expectations. He comes to class prepared and gets right to work. He is such a hard worker. Even in Hive, he sits quietly and works the whole time. Although he is new to Monroe, he works well with his peers in class and has really adjusted well. I truly can't say enough about Emmanuel and feel that he more than deserves being Student of the Month. Also, congratulations to our 8th grade Student of the Month, Miley Hessen. Her language arts teacher, Mrs. Decker, had this to say about Miley. She comes to ELA class every day with a positive attitude and has a fantastic work ethic. She demonstrates relentless effort in all that she does. Miley takes pride in her work and studies. She aims to please and be the best version of herself that she can be. She displays her kind, uplifting attitude with how cooperatively she works with her parents and how encouraging she is to others. Miley is truly a pleasure to have in class. And at the high school, we want to congratulate all of our high school students who were inducted into the National Honor Society this past weekend. Also, our high school choral choir and mixed choir held a fantastic performance. And that's all I got.
All right, fantastic.
Yep.
Very good. And 2.5, anyone from MEA? Okay. And section 4, seeing that there are no comments from the public, we will move on to treasurer's business. Oh, I'm sorry,
wait,
I
are
apologize,
we not-
I apologize.
We're just going to skip right past recognition. Sorry, guys. Thanks for coming.
Let's just get right over it.
I went right.
We want to go in further
We
like.
put that at the end of the agenda.
Yeah, we moved it there, and it was, we wanted to think
Nice.
about that a little bit longer. We'll move on to section 3, recognition. I apologize.
Good job, Dave.
Just had to keep
There
everyone
may
on
be
their
some
toes.
comments from the public coming up.
Well, we do have 3 special guests here this evening. Former board member Leslie Stone, former board member Brett Guido, and current Butler Tech rep, and former employee who worked here forever, Mr. Steve Moon. And all 3 of these people are very special to the school district, and they have poured more than just their responsibilities that go to day. I would say that in my short time here, all 3 of them have left a huge impression on this school district and the community. So we want to thank you guys for that. And as a small token of our appreciation, we have a lifetime SWBL pass, so you thought you could escape. Now you have no excuse to not come back and cheer on our student athletes at not just at Monroe but away. Is that correct, Eric? Yes, it'll get you into any event in our league for the rest of your life. So if you guys want to come up so we can.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Y'all gonna have to squeeze in like you like to do.
I'll go behind you. We always do this. While we're here, can we get right on the safety patrol? That's still there? Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
All right, now, moving on to section 4. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
I even saw it, it was that little sign you put up about Who Day. Went right by it.
Feel free.
Communication, seeing that there's no comment from the public, we will move on to section 5, treasurer's business. Mrs. Cahall, you are up.
Okay, I'm asking the board to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on September 26th and the special meeting on October 4th.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Any questions? Mrs. Cahall, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.2.
Okay, I'm asking the board to approve the financial report for September 30th, 2022.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Fulham.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Floor is yours, or the seat.
Okay. Would like to report that we still have a pretty hefty cash balance of $38,313,000 in the general fund and $48 million in all funds, so that includes the grants. I do want to say that the State Ohio Association of School Business Officials released a white paper on cash balances for schools and, the need to continue to have a cash balance. And it was an interesting paper. We talked about the reasons for the ebbs and flows because of one-time revenue, which you've all seen with ESSER, and, taking over those expenses and a lot of things that have happened in the last several years. So it's I'll share that with you. It may be more than you want to know, but I think a lot of schools at the moment have a decent balance. Some don't, though. But so as I shared in my report, our receipts are $2.8 million above this year as opposed to last year because of the TIF RID payment. And we did receive $300,000 more from that source. And when you get into looking at the numbers, you think, oh, well, so there's more properties or the values of homes have gone up. But really, what happens is the city collects all the tax money from this taxing district. The school's part of it, Butler County's part of it, the library's part of it. And so they collect this money, and they don't give the library, they don't give Butler Butler County or some of the other entities in it. They don't give them money, but they share some of it with us. And it's based on our proportion of mills in the whole district. And when our proportion goes up, maybe some levies fall off somewhere with the other entities, then we get more money. So it's not always improvement in values and that kind of thing. So I did want to explain that. So we are just 1 month into our new salary structure, and so we don't really have a lot of information on salaries and benefits, but we know they're going to increase. We especially know benefits are going to increase January because of really 17% increase in health care. But we've added 11 new certified positions and 13 new classified positions in the general fund. And then we've also added 12 new certified positions to be paid out of grants. So all of this will go into the November forecast. And and then in addition, we're already seeing an increase in our invoices and purchase services, which you all may be experiencing as well because of inflation. And as you know, I'm starting to use a new program to prepare the forecast and the monthly reports, and we're almost there. It requires upload of a lot of historical data and the specificity of new positions. So I'm gathering all that data. I do want to show you a report that compares the state report card with your spending per pupil compared to other districts. And I saw it, and it has 21 data, but they're going to load the 22 in, and when they do, I want to share that with you. So it's helpful to see, how your scores compare and your expenditures per student. In 21, it showed that our scores were pretty high compared to others, and our spending was less. So we'll see what 22 shows. And we're almost done with our GAAP financial statements, and I'm hoping that Moody's will look at those, I think, because of our cash balance, and they may look at those and raise our bond rating, and that would be helpful when we go to borrow funds. And our annual audit is just starting, but I wanted you to know that we will get the Auditor of State Award for the 2021 audit. They would have delivered it now. Thank you. I'll stand up and bow. At first they told me, there was somebody in their staff that said, you can't do it if you're audited by Julian and Group, or not Julian and Group, but anybody outside the state. And then I was told that was wrong information. Who told me that? And they want to get with them to tell them right, what they need to say. So anyway, they couldn't deliver it before the election because that's against the law, because it's influencing. So, but when we get that, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope we get it for 22 as well.
Is that something that you get every year, or you just aim to get that?
Well, you aim to get that,
Okay.
and it's for having a perfect audit.
Oh, okay.
That everything checks out.
Okay.
Right. So you want to be recognized for that.
Oh, absolutely. All right.
That's awesome.
And also I met with the new finance director at the city of Monroe, Jacob Burton. They finally found a replacement for Karen Irvin, who went to be the treasurer at Lebanon. And I was really concerned because they do our TIF repayment, and it's complicated, and I know that they're in good hands and we'll work well together on this. Who is it? Somebody. Debbie Armitage has been working with me over the last several years. It's been a while to find that replacement for Karen, and she's been working with me and does a great job, but she's retiring in December. So it was good that, they've got a good person in that position, and we will work well together. So that's all I have for now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I got a question, Holly. Would you run down to the changes on taxes 2020 to 2021?
Oh.
Page, I don't know what page it is.
Page 2.
2? No, go on down. Go down to the next page. Right there. Explain to me, if you will, or educate me a little bit here. Mount Pleasant.
I know, I knew you'd say that. And I did not investigate it, but I suspect there was a tax complaint. They filed a tax complaint on values of homes. Oh. And I don't think it was actually this year, but the year prior to that.
Okay, so the ones that are in brackets, the figures that are in brackets, if you go up to Monroe Crossing as an example, you got 53,933 in brackets, and then values at 67,922. Did it increase, decrease, or what?
Well, the 67, which one? 67,922?
Yeah.
339. It's just the reduction in the whole property value of that whole.
It's a reduction, right?
Yeah, it's a reduction, and then the tax receipts went down.
How can there be a reduction in a subdivision if you're adding homes?
Reduction what?
How can you have a reduction in a subdivision value if you're adding homes.
Well, yeah, sometimes a house sells and it doesn't sell for as much as it was on the records for.
But it's still a value above land value.
Yeah, well, I mean, values do change.
I know, but the land value wouldn't change, and, you know, if anything, it would go up.
Well,
I mean, that, the fact that we had a bracket and it
It's
was
just a
down a
little
little bit in
amount.
2020, and now it's down more in 2021, that don't make sense to me.
So
yeah. I
is the
mean,
number on the
when I
right,
looked at,
is that dollar values, Holly?
that is, yeah, that's on the right. I mean, the right is the property value, the left is
the
the
average.
change in tax receipts. It's a really tiny number, you know, it's something,
I just don't understand the brackets, that's all I'm after, Dave, is it,
you don't know why they went down.
yeah, I don't know why it's down both years.
Oh, no.
Or not both years, but the change in
20,
tax
21.
receipts are down, and the
Yeah.
change in the value's down. That don't make sense, and the subdivision's going like it's going.
Well, they haven't gone on the books yet, some of those homes. You know, it looks like there's a lot going, but they're not on the auditor's books yet.
Well, keep in
some of
mind,
them.
that's Monroe Crossings 1. I'm assuming that's the first phase of Monroe Crossings.
Not 2021 wouldn't be, or 2020 wouldn't be.
What they, yeah. Yeah. And Monroe Crossings 3, I think, is the newest phase over there.
Yeah, I mean, I could take the data that they have at the city and compare which homes did that.
You know, you go down to Monroe Crossings 2, and the red at
mean-
the bottom, the same thing.
It's a combination of all those that maybe something sold for less than it was valued at, you know, because they were really highly valued just a year or two ago, increased in value. So I can ask, you know, I'll ask the city, I'll ask our, you know,
Probably has to do with people contesting their.
oh, that's another thing is, and we don't know, we don't get any information about who's contesting their values.
Huh, okay.
And so it might not be very many people. I mean, it's kind of small, but, you know, anybody can do that.
Gee, I know that anybody can do it, but
Surely.
it seems like, I don't know.
And we have not had that in our community very much. So, but
Okay,
thank
I
you
don't
for
like it, but I
asking,
gotta live
Tom. Thanks for looking at it and asking. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? All right, Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried. Item 5.3,
I'm asking the board to approve the bond fund report, and all the money is where it should be.
may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn.
Second,
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. Okay,
Okay. Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
aye, motion carried. Item 5.4,
I'm asking you to approve a transfer of $19,639.71 from the class of 2023 to the class of 2024 as requested by the class of 2023.
may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Fulham. Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Any questions? Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Mrs. Cahill.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. See
Moving
you
on-
Thursday.
Moving on to Section 6, Superintendent's Update.
Thanks, Mr. Grant. I want to start by just talking a little bit about, as you know, we've contracted with Butler County ESC for Adam Markham, our PR Communications Director, a couple days a week, and I just wanted to share some brief statistics that he shared with me. Cindy, or Logan or Cindy, if you could open that. All right, so this is just some information, figures that he put together about last year compared to this year with our social media visits, and there's some terms on here that I'm going to tell you my social media terms are not up to par, so if I say it incorrectly, it's because I'm making it up. So I'm just teasing. I do know some of it, but I'm not 100% sure. So social media is just one aspect, but a lot of our parents do get information that way. And I shared there are so many great things going on in our buildings, and we just need to continue to improve ways to get that information out to our community. So if you look at obviously yellow is last year, and blue was this year, and the first one is just the first 2 months of school, page reaches versus page visits. I believe that a page reach just means it showed up on your feed compared to a visit where they actually clicked on the link to see what it was. But as you can see, our social media, just for the first 2 months of school, it increased, very large amounts, almost 300%, 200% in those areas. On the next slide, we've added more than 50 people who like the page. That means that they directly get all of our feeds, which is, up considerably. And then minutes viewed videos, any videos that we put on, has again increased greatly. Part of it's some of the, I think that sometimes we put videos on that are too long, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I believe, so the average social media view is about like 28 seconds or something. So if you have any video that's longer than that, they don't really watch it. So we've been cognizant of that as we've been posting things to try to shorten things up a little bit. So now if it's your own kid, you're going to watch it till the very end. So I know that's one thing. And then here's just a few things. The next one, it's some of the things that he has done that's posted that's really gotten around to the community. Some of the things, I don't know if anybody saw those primary interviews that he posted. That was just so cute and really a nice job. So the next one talks about this is Twitter. So we switched from Facebook to Twitter, and as you can see, our Twitter page was very almost non-existent. The district one especially was almost non-existent. So we've increased that hugely amongst not just our district page, but amongst each building. So you can see those numbers. Now impressions, mentions, and profile visits. I have no idea what the difference between impressions and mentions. Do you know what that is, AJ? What's the difference there?
You're going to put me on the spot?
I am going to put you on the spot.
Impressions is just basically how many times you've shown. So the more content you put out, the more somebody sees it.
Okay.
Mentions is somebody @ you, so mentions you.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Some engagement there, and then
good.
Quite a few profile views.
Yes.
So it's good.
And then again, some of the on the next one, some of the more popular, higher viewings of the Twitter posts. So I just again, that's just a small part of what he does. This went out to the entire community last week. I think most people said they got it in the mail Friday. He did a great job with that. I think it was very nicely done. I apologize to Mr. Leeds for that picture on the front that you got stuck with Mr. Guido, but we did the best we could.
I think it's a darn good picture, if you ask me.
No, it was a great picture, and you wouldn't believe how many comments we got about that. So there was an electronic version that went out to all our parents directly as well. So
can I make one quick comment on this?
Absolutely.
So my daughter saw this morning as we were getting ready for school and noticed one of her classmates, and I love that they used the QR code because she took her phone and scanned it and watched the video on our drive to the school. So I thought that was a cool way to get a video aspect onto a print. So
yeah, we talked about that with my facilities update. It links to that video that Jesse and I talked about.
My daughter didn't have as much interest.
I'm sure she did not have as much interest
in your video,
but I'm hoping.
But I liked your video.
I'm hoping the parents did have more interest in that. So.
Yeah, these always turn out really nice. They did a good job.
Absolutely. And our goal is to do that, 3 times a year. We did that fall, back to school. We'll do one after winter break, and then after school's out as well. So, all right. I had 2 other things that I want to talk about. First up is we have had some inquiries recently about the property that we have here and the farming of the property. And in addition to the acreage that the building and the fields and the stadiums sit on, we have around 30 acres of farmland, and it's currently farmed by the Garver Farms. We were approached by another family interested in it. They made a proposal, and it took some time and some digging and talking to people. We did figure out that back when I was we have a land use agreement that is, it's pretty vague and it doesn't exactly say the entire history. Luckily, we have Tom Leeds, who has a lot of history, that he could share some things with us. But I also was able to speak directly with the attorney that wrote up the agreement. And after I gave him a piece of my mind about not being precise enough with that agreement, he did share the original intent of the land use agreement. And what happened was was it in 2002 when in 2002
2001
2001
yeah,
the Matson family, long story short, they donated almost $1 million worth of land to the school district. And at that time, it was very important to the Matson family that the Garver family that is currently farming it, farmed it prior to the gift, that they could continue to do it as long as it was farmland. Now, everyone agrees that we have the right, if we decide tomorrow we're building a school and it's going down there, everyone understands we have the right to do that at any point. But again, that was the intent from speaking with the attorney, and to be used at least for the first 25 years of the gift of the land. Now, and I think that's up in around 2026, we could revisit it. My hope is by then we have started construction on something, and it's a moot point. But he actually remembered having the conversation with the Matsons about it, and current superintendent, who was Arnie Elam, and he helped write up the agreement and even asked Superintendent Elam at the time, do you need me to put anything in there for the current, like a fee to rent the land for farm use each year? And his response was, are you kidding me? Do you realize what they just donated to us? So, besides that, I know there's been some mixed information out there. The Garver family has donated without any obligation to, but they have donated annually just about every year since it was gifted to us from the Matson family. And looking back at that, later on the agenda, you will see that the last few years, I don't know, probably COVID related, whatever, there was no donation. You'll see a large donation that they gave this year to make up for the years that they had not given. So again, my recommendation, although the other family had approached us, is that I feel an obligation to honor that agreement, with the gift of $1 million. That, I mean, I can't speak for them, but I don't, it sounds like that gift of land probably wouldn't have happened if they had known that we were going to honor the agreement for them to continue for the 25 years of the gift. So, again, I spoke with the other family this afternoon that approached us. They completely understood. It was a good conversation, and they still want to continue to work with the school district and help us out. So. Hopefully we have that settled for now. Again, hopefully again before that 2026 date comes up, we're breaking the ground for something else. So the other thing that I wanted to share and give an update was that Jesse and I met last week. I don't know what day it was, with Fanning and Howie. The architecture firm that we decided to work with for pre-bond work between now and whenever we receive our funding for OFCC. It was just sort of a planning meeting. They had a lot of great ideas. We kind of set a schedule. We are going to be having a district facilities committee next. It's November 4th, whenever day of the week. Is that Wednesday
Friday.
or Thursday? If it's Friday, that's not the 4th.
Friday's
then.
not good.
It's not the 4th. Do you know what day? 2nd, November 2nd. Wednesday, the 2nd. So, anyway, we will be doing that for that November 2nd. And it's just a brief meeting to, first I want to give that committee an opportunity to see the improvements we made this summer. And then Fanning and Howie is going to talk about some things moving forward. What I want to say is that, and I talked to Mr. Grant about this afternoon, this may not be the most popular decision with this board, but I really think we've talked about what can we do to increase space, and we've thrown out ideas with modulars and everything in between, just as we're bursting. And one idea that we've kind of kept coming back to is possibly some sort of field house to relocate some of the athletic places here to outside. And I still think that this community probably would support that at some point, but right now my recommendation is that we kind of pause that until we get some more information from the community about what does that look like. Because one, if we do a field house, is it for, what is the purpose of that? What is it going to be for, indoor turf? Is it going to be more court space? We don't even know those areas. And high school versus elementary, if we end up the community wants a new high school, maybe some of those things that we talked about putting in that field house would be in the new high school, and we don't want, whatever we put into a building like that, we want it to be something that's going to last for the community. And even though we have money in our PI that we could take care of that, I have had people approach me about, possibly some private funding, and I think it's something maybe that could be in conjunction with the other project to maybe we could get half of it funded and we match the funds to do that. And again, I just think at this point we need to kind of pause, get more input from the community. We have all talked, and I don't think there'll be any disagreement from the board here, that we don't want to open a building that's at capacity, because we have to go off the state's projections for enrollment. And we all know that we're not going to agree with those, because right now our enrollment is a little up and down, and so I'm sure their projection is not going to equal what we think it is. So if we decide as a school board and a community that we want additional academic spaces, that will be all locally, that portion of it would be locally funded. And of course that's expensive. And I think that's probably our first priority. And I think the worst thing to do would be to go out and then spend money on a field house and then come to, building that and then have to ask for additional funds for the academic space. So I'm not saying that it's out of the realm of possibilities. I just think until we get some more community input to see what direction we're going, I think we need to pause a little bit on that. So I just wanted to share that. I believe that the district facilities committee is what they're going to do is they're going to talk to the members of that committee, and they really want to come up with a core group of about 10 community members out of there that can make a commitment to meet monthly to really get the ball rolling and really dig into what does the community want, what does the school district need, and then start bringing in larger groups and get a much bigger view of what's going on. They all presented, and they did a really good job and really setting up the timeline between now and when we get our OFCC funding. So those are just the two things I wanted to share. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
The only thing that I would like to state, Robert, is the fact that Fanning and Hanley brought to the table that they will help us in projecting how many students we're going to have in the near future,
Absolutely.
in the future, versus what the state says. And I think we got 1.5 from the state or something like that.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the fact that we are starting to do something and having the community involved. I totally agree that we need to put a pause on anything we were thinking about. We were blue sky in there,
Right.
and trying to come up with things. But now that we've got a direction, and we got somebody leading the direction, such as Fanning and Howie, then we can come up with some more concrete things.
Not to mention if we decided, let's say we decide, okay, we're going to do a field house so we can make those spaces. We don't know 100% sure that OFCC would approve that as repurposing, and we don't want to take away from the master project. And if we started tomorrow, it's probably 2 years out
Sure.
with the supplies. So
Easily.
I think, again, pausing and waiting a little bit to make sure we're all
On the same.
on the same page, headed the right direction. So.
Yep.
In regards to what you said about, we all agree that we do not want a building that is at capacity when we have the ribbon cutting.
Exactly.
We're not going to allow that to happen. So that is going to be locally funded. So like Robert said, I do think it's a good idea. We do have a healthy PI, so if we can utilize some of those funds to help offset that tax burden to the community,
Right.
then we can do that. So I think it's good that we pause, gather all the information that we can so we can make an intelligent decision that's best for the district, but also for the community as well.
I think that.
I don't know if pause is the right word. Slow down to
Slow
make
down,
sure,
right.
yes,
Right.
yeah,
Slow
make
down.
sure
Yes.
we're making the correct decision.
Nothing's pausing.
Yes,
We're just,
yes.
we're just,
I know I'm the one that said pause, but I
Yeah.
don't think that was a good word. No.
I think Fannie and Hallie will actually push the group.
I do too.
The facilities committee to, let's get on board, let's get things going versus trying to pull them.
yeah, they seem pretty, I don't know if aggressive is the right word, but it could be the right word.
They're driven.
They're,
They're
that's a
driven.
better word.
Right.
They're driven to
Driven.
what they,
Exactly.
to the end goal.
And that's good for us.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, any other questions, comments?
No, I like the idea of getting more of the community input on all of the building facilities so that we get, the community approval and everything with the new school. So we do what's right for
Yep.
our students and the community.
And there will be staff involved,
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
so. Good.
Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Yes.
All right, moving on to section 7, superintendent's personnel business.
I'd like to recommend we take 7.1 through 7.7 blocked.
Okay. May I have a motion to block 7.1 to 7.7?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Okay.
Call the roll.
And we have to vote for that?
Yes.
Yes. Mrs. Kale, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. Are there any questions regarding, we have to go through each one?
I'll briefly give you.
Yep.
Yes, a synopsis here. The first section is just some supplemental resignations. One is a resignation because he's taken a different position within the basketball program. 7.2, Carol Kelly, who has been a longtime teacher here at Monroe High School, notified us officially that she will be retiring at the end of the year. So we wish Carol the very best with her position. We have a number of new hires. One of them, I do want to mention who is here. Do you have your pens with you tonight?
I can
All
grab
right,
it.
absolutely, Mr. Grant. Pilar is with us. She's coming to us from Fairfield. She is going to be an EL tutor working with our students at the high school, junior high, with English second language students. She is going to be so valuable for our students. Pilar is highly overqualified for this position. She's fluent in a number of languages, and it will really it'll benefit our children a lot. And so we're very, very excited to have her on board. So welcome, Pilar. Welcome. You want to?
Yes, we will.
Do we do that before we make it official?
Hands.
Yeah, we need to
Should
vote.
we
Okay,
vote
well, let's
first
vote.
before
Let's
we-
vote first.
That could be awkward.
Since we blocked them.
The next couple are, we have some substitutes, some additional extracurricular contracts, and then some salary increases from teachers that have been working on their additional schooling. And then we have one gate worker for the athletic department.
Okay, all right.
Any questions about any of those sections?
Congratulations
Yeah, on the steps.
on the retirement, on the new hires. Thank you to the volunteers who are
Yes.
participating. And good luck to those who are
I'd like,
moving on.
I'd like to add congratulations to the teachers that are continuing in their education.
Absolutely.
I know how difficult it is to work and go to school as well, so congratulations to
Yeah.
them.
All right, anything else? All right, Mrs. Cahill?
Okay. We have to first
Oh,
and
we do have
second
to make
approve.
another motion.
We didn't
Yes,
technically make a
move to
motion.
approve.
Yes, so may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. All right. Mrs. Cahill, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried.
Okay, now we can
Now,
congratulate.
we can-
All right, I'd recommend that we block superintendent's other business, sections 8.1 to 8.5.
Okay, may I have a motion to block 8.1 to 8.5?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Leeds. And thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Okay.
And
Call the roll.
we will call the roll.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Leeds,
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter,
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn,
Aye.
Mr. Fulham,
Aye.
and Mr. Grant.
Aye, motion carried.
All right, section 8.1 is donations, and as always, we thank everyone for being generous to the school district. As I referenced earlier, there's 2 donations from Garver Farms. The one was for this year's use of the fields, and then the second one is for the few years that they did not, so they made up for that, and we very much appreciate that. Again, it was not a requirement, but it's something that they do because they're out of goodwill to the school district. So 8.2 is just the approval for the floor company that'll come out of our PI fund. The 3-year agreement, I mentioned this in my weekly update, we will be transitioning to a new host for our district website. We have actually a meeting tomorrow, or Wednesday, to initial meeting to just talk about it, and they will take all of the information and they build it. It takes a lot off our plate, which is great. This is a company that they specialize in doing hosting websites for numerous school districts in the area. First of all, it's a 3-year agreement with a $4,500 cost, but if you can find 3 sponsors that would have an ad on the page at some place, it'll be at no cost to the district. Before he even had our initial meeting, he said he already has 2 companies interested. So I'm sure that between the last time we talked and now, I'm sure he's found the 3rd one. So they do a really nice job. They're very user-friendly, and I think you guys will be very impressed. So the next one is a contract with Final Forms. We do use Final Forms for any of you that have student athletes are very familiar with Final Forms. They have also been in the business of doing all school forms, beginning of the year, emergency medical, all of that. They have expanded that and gotten a lot better over the last couple of years. I know they met with the treasurer's office and Jesse's office with enrollment and all that, and they've been very impressed. So that $13,000, that will include the cost, correct me if I'm wrong, that includes athletics.
That's my
Yeah,
understanding.
so
Oh, yeah.
that will be the cost of the athletics and the addition. So it's, does anybody know, do you know the difference of what it was just for athletics?
Like, it was like 3,000 maybe
Okay,
before.
Okay, but this will host all of our forms for everything.
For everything.
Yes, so I don't know if any of you have had students with any frustration with filling out forms as a parent and filling out all the forms as new students in July, and then I had to do it again in August. And it's a glitch with the company, and it's, no matter how many times we've tried to work with them. I'm excited to go to final.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is this an annual fee?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Do we have to fill out forms again?
Well, you will have to, they will migrate a lot of it, but yes, you will have your beginning of the year forms, but, hopefully you only have to do them once.
But like, do we do
But
it
it
again
carries
this
over?
year as we migrate to final forms? Will this start?
Certain
the
forms, yes,
Okay.
yes, so.
I'll let Missy know it's
And then
all
I'll
your
switch
fault.
companies again, so you have to do it again next.
Not me. I'll let Missy know it's your fault.
Yes.
And then the 8.5 is just calendar of events, so. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you for the donations.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to the website services. Yes.
Yeah.
When my kids were in school, we had to fill out the manual forms every single year. So I was a little jealous when this got approved a few years back, because this would have made life easier. So now life is even going to be easier. So
You can
that's,
help out with your grandkids in a few years.
yes, in about 5 years, I'll be able to
You
help.
can, you
I'll
can take
help
that
with my
burden off of your
With my
children.
granddaughter,
Yeah.
yes. Looking forward to it.
And that's why we're doing this, for your grandchildren.
Yes.
You can put ditto on yours, it'll get through.
All right. Any questions? All right, may I have a motion to approve items 8.1 to 8.5?
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Mr. Leeds. Thank you, Mr. Fulham. Mrs. Cahall, please call the roll.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Buskirk.
Okay.
All right. Before we move on to section 9, we will start with, end with comments from the board. Starting with you, Mr. Leeds.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the staff and everybody for the job they're doing in this school year, because we've been going smoothly. And the community is very appreciative of the way things are going, and talking to several people. The other thing that I want to mention is the fact that the fall functions with the band and the choir and the athletics, that has been great. We've had the privilege of having good crowds, I thought, at the football games, all of them, and well-attended and well appreciated. The other thing is the fact that we've got Fannie and Howie on board, and we're moving in the direction that we said we would move in. There's going to be a lot of things go on that the community is going to be involved in, that we can come up with a final decision on how we're going to take care of this take care of this room problem, or lack of room, I should say, and get that going. And again, I want to thank the people that were involved last week with the student eligibility problem. It was created by oversight from the, I guess, Ohio High School Athletic Association. But the fact that we got on top of that, Robert, with you and Mr. Prohaska and Eric and everybody, and then we brought in the state representatives to help us out, and the governor on standby. You can't beat that.
No.
And that was great. We took care of the kids.
They actually reached out to me today again and said that they're going to be in contact with us because they know that the language is messed up and there's unintended consequences here, and so they want to change it to fix it, and they want our input.
It's good.
To help make sure that it doesn't happen to other kids.
Yeah, I think the lesson learned here for the state would be to send out if they're going to make a change, to send it out to all districts and give them a certain amount of time to respond. And if you don't respond, you like it, and we're going to go with it. But if you respond back, then let's get involved, and they need to make some changes. But that to me was first class, and I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Okay. Mrs. Hagedorn?
So I agree with everything that Mr. Tom Leeds had just said, to piggyback on that. But just a couple things I wanted to mention was Adam Markham is doing a fabulous job with the social media and getting information out there. I've seen a lot of activity and improvement in that aspect, so I think that was a really good decision that we did as a board. Another thing I wanted to mention was I wanted to thank Mrs. Fry and everybody that worked on the yearbook. I don't think they get that much recognition, but the last year's yearbook was really good. I enjoyed looking through all the pictures. I don't know if everybody had a chance to do that, but take a few minutes and review that. Looking forward to the fall play this weekend. I think it's Kodachrome. Never heard of it, so I'm pretty excited to see it. Anybody that's interested, it's Thursday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 2 p.m. Another thing that I was impressed with, and I don't know if people are aware, the marching band did 2 shows this season. And that's pretty impressive for a high school band to do 2 different shows. So they learned a total of 6 songs. And then to learn the drill, the routines, and the music is pretty impressive. That I don't know of any other high schools around that have done that. And I know that Mr. Brinkman had said that it's the first time that Monroe has actually had 2 shows from the marching band. So I kind of wanted to mention that. That was kind of a big deal that I don't think people are aware of. And let's see what else. Another thing, one of the reasons that my family moved to Monroe is because it's a smaller school district. It's growing, but it's smaller, and all of the students have the ability or the opportunity to do things that they want to do. And the 2 things that I've noticed last year and this year that I want to mention is there's a couple of new clubs that were created. Last year, we all learned about the environmental club that was created. I thought, that was great. And then this year, something that I just recently saw was there's a new, it's FCA, the Fellowship for Christian Athletes, that just started. So I'm really impressed that the students, and they're getting faculty involved or staff to create new clubs, to start new things, that there's students that want to do new things and that they're starting that. And that Monroe is a great place to do that kind of opportunity, to have that for the students. I think really, I'll let AJ. Oh, well, one more thing I want to mention, and then I'm going to let AJ
I'm just
take
sitting
over.
here minding
I
my
know. The varsity cheer, they competed just yesterday. I'm sure AJ's going to mention that, came in 2nd place. But one of the things I want to mention is this coming weekend, they're competing again. And at that competition is where they're hoping to get a bid for nationals. As long as they get that bid is when they're going to go to Florida in February. I think February was the date. So I really hope that they get that opportunity and that they get that bid coming this weekend. Good. So I want to wish them luck for this weekend.
Good.
That's great.
That's all I have.
Mr. Folden?
I do have something to say about cheerleading, but it's time for my high fives from around the hive. All right. High five to our district principals and assistant principals. We have the very best, as October is National Principals Month. We are fortunate to have each of you in Hornet Country, and your efforts are appreciated by myself, this board, and the families of our community. Thank you, guys. High five to our boys soccer program, which captured a league title this fall. They participated in the Division I tournament, playing a very good Beaver Creek team, and fell 1-0, but that program completely rebounded off of last year, and to capture an SWBL East title was a fantastic accomplishment for those seniors and underclassmen. High five to Andrew Wilcox, who finished in 1st place overall at the SWBL Boys Cross Country Championships. Andrew has qualified for the Division I OHSAA Regional Championships after placing 3rd at districts. Andrew is a phenomenal runner and is just amassing all kinds of accolades. And that's a sport that usually doesn't get as much attention, but he is absolutely just dominating. And I want to wish him good luck at regionals. I want to Give a high five to our high school students who attended this year's Anthony Munoz Youth Leadership Seminar. It's a great opportunity for kids to learn about different leadership tactics and meet with other students from around the area. And I would love to attend that one time. Actually, I might see if I can get on the list some year, but definitely want to give everybody a high five and way to represent the district at this great event. And high five to our varsity competition cheerleading squad, who placed second at the Edgewood Cougar Cheer Championship competition this weekend, only falling to a Division I, very, very large school by, I believe, only 2.2 points. So our girls competed really hard, but aside from that, this team put together a fantastic routine on the mat. But I want to touch on something that goes beyond those results. So I want to talk about the dedication and leadership that was shown by this squad. Earlier that morning, our youth cheerleading teams participated in their own competition, and our high school student athletes showed up to support them. They didn't have to, but they chose to wake up early and arrive hours before they had to. That is what being a Hornet is all about, supporting each other and being there for one another. As a parent of one of those youth cheerleaders, I appreciate the effort of each of them and continuing to reinforce a culture of inclusion, competition, and community. We have a very special core group of student athletes, musicians, students that do a lot of great things. And from top to bottom, whether it's Hornet Walk, having the pep assembly at the primary school, our students from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade interact at such an amazing level. And that was just one example of what we have here in Monroe. And I want to make sure that everybody is really, really aware of what that takes. It's a hard thing to do. It's a lot of commitment from a lot of young people who are very compassionate for the entire district. So I appreciate that as a father and as a board member. So that's all I got.
You're good.
Yep.
That's good. Mr. Carpenter.
Agreed.
Ditto.
Yeah, exactly. Just real quick, I want to congratulate all of the students and staff because they have made it through the first quarter. So that's always solid. So congratulations, everybody. 1 down, 3 to go. And then you got summer again. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been meeting with the architects to make sure that continues forward. It's greatly appreciated. I know by me and the board, but I know it will be by the community, especially as we start moving toward a permanent improvement to our capacity issues that we're currently facing. And I know the girls soccer team plays tomorrow night, so I want to wish them the very best luck as they continue their march to a state title. I just feel it this year. Let's go. That's all I got.
Girls volleyball also plays
Yes.
tomorrow morning. Not to take, sorry if you're gonna.
No.
But
You already had your turn.
They
buddy.
play tomorrow morning.
I know, but I didn't want to leave
Well, I guess
one
I
of
have
our great
nothing to say
programs.
now. No, I have a couple things.
My bad.
First off, I just want to thank staff, administration, Holly and Robert for, and all the support staff for a great first quarter. I know as a board member, when I don't get a phone call or emails, then you guys are doing everything the way it's supposed to be done, and there's no issue. So it's a great thing. So thank you from the board to all of you guys for doing everything that you do for our district. It does not go unrecognized. Secondly, at last meeting, I just want to kind of circle back on something we discussed about our coverage with the local
Yes.
papers. I think I sent a
Wait
message
a
out.
minute, we got a local paper?
I sent a message out, I think, to you guys shortly after that meeting, and I reached out to Michael Clark again because I reached out to him like 3 or 4 times, just to circle back on that. He did respond, and he said that the only reason that he did not cover us is because he felt like it was an overreach for our superintendents to have to give him the information because they're already busy enough. So with that being said, Robert is setting up, if you may have already,
Well, I was going to set it up, but Adam said, oh, I know him. So they know each other already.
Great.
They've been in contact and they know each other from his work from the ESC.
So he says that if he gets information from the district, it will be covered and we will be in the papers and we will get our students and staff will get the kudos that they deserve. So proof's in the pudding. I haven't seen him at a board meeting for over 7 years. So we will see what happens, but I just wanted that to be on the record that he was contacted and looking forward to the coverage that our students and staff deserve.
About time.
Okay. With that said, any other questions?
Good.
Okay. With that said, Section 9, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:35.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Hagedorn. Mrs. Cahall, please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mrs. Hagedorn?
Aye.
Mr. Leeds?
Aye.
Mr. Fulham?
Aye.
And Mr. Grant?
Aye. Motion carried. And meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending.
you.
Thank you, everybody.